Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Hope everyone's doing well. Absolutely roasting outside, 31 degrees centigrade at, it was 11 o'clock this morning when I decided to abandon my outdoor activities, at least over the midday, because, yeah, I like a little hot weather, especially when I live in a place that's got snow for 5 months of the year. But, you know, a happy medium would be nice, hey? Anyways, to boxing. For fans of Filip Hrgovic, you might want to scoot over to Box Nation and see the whole interview, quite a long interview, maybe half an hour or so, that the channel conducted of Filip Hrgovic. Filip Hrgovic hasn't spoken to the media, at least I'm not aware of, since the Joe Joyce fight. And of course, as we know, on August the 16th, he's going to be tackling former British heavyweight champion David Adeleye. I caught myself when I said former, because, excuse me please, I'm not entirely sure that you know what the belt status is there. You know, we've talked about TKV and Allen fighting for the vacant one, but I actually have not seen in black and white the status of the belt. So, you know, excuse me if I've made a mistake there. Hrgovic was very complimentary about David Adeleye. You know, he spoke that, you know, he's hard-hitting, he doesn't throw punches in bunches, but he's tough, he's strong, he's got a good left hook. What else did he say about him? He's just generally complimentary, but he did not think that he was world class, which might actually, you know, dovetail with the views that I think many of us have been expressing on here. He thinks, he being Hrgovic, thinks that he'll be too much for Adeleye. He spoke about his feet, his footwork, his speed, and his power. Now I have to say, oh, I wish this cough would go away. Besides that, I have to say that speed is not an attribute that I immediately think of when I think of Filip Hrgovic. But you know, that's what he is saying. Interestingly, he was asked about, you know, like, how come you're fighting David Adeleye? And he said, well, originally he was offered Bakole and he accepted, but Bakole turned him down. When he was asked about, you know, Bakole being the boogeyman, he said something like, I'm going to paraphrase, so I may not be exact. He said something like, maybe only a Bakole might only be a boogeyman for the ladies, since he is fat and ugly. So, not overly complimentary of Mr. Bakole, possibly body shaming. Anyhow, so Bakole apparently turned him down. And when the interviewer, Umar, said, well, Adeleye said that he picked you, Hrgovic laughed and basically said, well, he might have made a mistake, which maybe he has. I will say Hrgovic was not arrogant. You know, he pauses and he speaks very flatly and directly and candidly in his at least second language. And I know people say it comes across as sort of talking down to people and being hubristic. I'm not quite sure. I think it might be more just inflection and thoughtfulness. Anyways, your mileage may vary. Do apologize. He said that Dillian, I made some notes here, would be Dillian White, rather, would be a good test for Moses Itauma when the interview flipped around to that. This is only going to be like a 6 or 7 minute synopsis, right? Highlights, if you like. He said that Dillian Whyte would be a good test for Moses Itauma. Apparently, he was asked, Moses Itauma had said something that could be perceived as negative about Filip Hrgovic. He said that he'd finished Dempsey McCain, first round, right? Whereas it had taken Hrgovic right to the end, or maybe 11th round. And Hrgovic said, what's the kid talking about, right? Poo-pooed it. KOing Dempsey McCain means nothing. It didn't bother him. He said something that we've all said, that it'll be interesting if Moses can get himself off the floor and fight. He was very complimentary about Moses's skill sets, right? So, he wasn't saying anything bad about him. He was just saying, but there's these other things we haven't seen yet. And I thought it was fair comments. If you're a big Moses fan, you will think that he was trashing your guy. But I would suggest that you step back from that perspective and just, listen to him. With respect to the upcoming Undisputed on July the 19th, Filip Hrgovic said that Daniel Dubois is totally different to the fighter who fought Usyk first time around in Poland. He's got a lot more confidence, 3 great wins, and he's done something to his chin. I don't know what. That's sort of, almost like he's developed a chin. He still slightly favours Usyk. He said the Brits will do everything to help their man. We've talked about this before, and that's a worry I've got. He thinks it'll be much, much closer, and that Dubois is going to give Usyk a much harder night than he did first time round. I have to say, as you all know, I've become a very nervous Nelly about this Undisputed. I'll be in a right tiz that last week. Oh well. So there we go. Filip Hrgovic, speaking on Box Nation, covers a bunch of things. Interesting about Bakole. Fat and ugly indeed. I'm sure that Mr. Bakole would be able to respond. That's all I've got for the moment. Thank you for your time as always. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.